It's more Darnold. It's more Mariota. I do think Las Vegas, the Raiders, is the one place that Pete could engineer a trade and sleep on it. If he could give him Derek Carr and Darren Waller and maybe a first pick and say, okay, I've got a good quarterback, I've got a top tight end, and you gave me a couple picks, I think you could digest that for a couple years. And then the Raiders, I don't think that's great for Russell Wilson, by the way. I don't think that's a great place for him. And Russell has a no-trade clause, so but Russell did mention the Raiders as one of his 4 teams. I do think of all the teams mentioned, Gruden and the Raiders, Gruden also has power, so he can okay any deal. Yeah. Which in a lot of these instances, the coach may like Russell, but the GM's not going to make the move.
Yeah. Would the personality work, Russ and Gruden? Could you see that working?
Yeah, I mean, they're both kind of stars. They've got a star power about them. Again, I don't think it's the best place for Russell, but that's the one place. If you gave me Derek Carr, Darren Waller, and a couple of a first-round pick and a second-round pick, I don't think I'd get equal value, but I think I'd get really good value. I'd probably want 2 firsts, Derek Carr and Darren Waller. I think that's about as you're getting a capable Pro Bowl quarterback. You're getting a great Hall of Fame level tight end and 2 firsts. That's about as good as you can get, I think. I'd rather have Darren Waller than another first-round pick. I'd rather have a certainty because Seattle's first-round picks have been hit and miss.
I know we talked about this yesterday. I still think it's strange and weird that the Seahawks have not put out a statement because when you don't, as you mentioned, everyone else is filling in the blanks. Just give us something to work with. Little something. All right. LaMelo Ball has been very impressive in his first NBA season. He's a front runner to win Rookie of the Year, averaging 15.8 points, 6 rebounds, and 6.3 assists per game. And Michael Jordan is happy with what he's seen. He said, I think Melo has adjusted to the NBA game better than any of us ever thought this early in his career. He has exceeded our expectations so far this season.
I totally agree. I didn't think he would be this offensively stimulating. He's really a nice player.
I love that he didn't go the normal route. He did not go the normal route at all. He played in the JBA League. He passed on college to go play overseas. His dad is extremely outspoken and was speaking extremely high of his son, as he always does. I'm a big fan of the Ball family, but he's backing it up. And I'm all for someone breaking the norm and doing something that fits you, that you think is going to make you the best player that you can be. And we've seen the Ball family come out and do that. LeVar has raised
I was thinking about this.
Children.
He doesn't play much defense. Luka doesn't play much defense. Zion doesn't play much defense. Trey Young doesn't play much defense. Is that when kids used to have high school coaches that demanded they play defense, and then they went to college for 3 years, and Dean Smith demanded you play defense. Players were better early defensively in the NBA. Now, kids go to the AAU route. They stay in college a year. So they come into the NBA. There's a lot of bad defensive players in the NBA as the league has gotten younger. And this is not a knock on LaMelo Ball. But Zion can't play defense. Luka doesn't. LaMelo doesn't. Trey Young doesn't. The league's become worse defensively. Now, the athletes are better, but you don't have that high school coach barking at you for 3 and 4 years to play defense. You don't have that college coach barking at you to play defense. It's AAU basketball, 1 year of college, and you're out. The plane has landed, refueled, and is off to the NBA. And so I think what it's doing, it's gassing these offensive numbers a little bit where, I mean, just everybody feels like they're scoring. These young players, first of all, the hand check's gone. The forearm in the back is gone. So the league's gotten more finesse over the last 7 or 8 years. And I just think it's an easier league for young guys to come in and score and not get pushed around like 10 years. Generationally, the game has changed.
It has.
Okay. Alex for the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
I did think it was interesting. So LeBron and Kevin Durant picked the All-Star teams last night. Chris Broussard and I did it. They look, and Broussard's ended up looking like an Eastern Conference All-Star team, and mine ended up looking like a Western Conference All-Star team. But so what happened is Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell were the last 2 guys to get picked, right? And so Utah, it felt like, man, LeBron and KD are crushing Utah, and LeBron joked about it.
You guys got to understand, just like in video games growing up,
We never played with Utah. Even as great as Karl Malone and John Stockton was, we would have never picked those guys in video games. Never.
It's actually kind of funny. Utah's interesting. They're 27-9, one of the best home court advantages in the league, number one NBA record. They have 2 All-Stars, and they're terrific against top teams. They're 15-7. And yet nobody gives them a shot to win the title. I watch a lot of Utah games because I go to Utah a lot to ski, and they're always on. It's interesting. Regular seasons in the NBA are a treadmill, and postseasons are an obstacle course because you play the same team over and over and over and over again. And let's be honest, the last 9 finals MVPs are LeBron and the guy that guarded him, and then Kawhi Leonard. That's kind of what the MVP is. And Utah has a LeBron problem. They do not have anybody on the wing to defend him. So they're not beating LeBron James 4 times in 2 weeks. So they are the classic built for the regular season, not to win a championship. By the way, it's not slander. I'll give you another. Baltimore Ravens are starting to get that reputation. They don't play the same football playing from behind. But in the playoffs, you play the best teams, you're often playing from behind. You have to overcome that. Derrick Rose's Bulls, great energy, very explosive. But if you played them over and over and over, they weren't a great shooting team, and they would unravel. The Milwaukee Bucks, great regular season team. But in the playoffs, it's situational basketball. You got to be good in the last 2.5, 3 minutes. And their best player, Giannis, is kind of a liability shooting it at the free throw line in the last 3 minutes. So there are these teams in sports. The Phoenix Suns with Steve Nash, they couldn't really defend the interior. But when they waltz into town, you don't get a ton of practice time or game film. They bring this blizzard of offense, and you can't keep up. And Utah's got a bunch of depth and a bunch of three-point shooters, and they walk into town, and if you don't, in a condensed NBA schedule, they're hard to prepare for. Same coach, same players, multiple years. They know their stuff. But if you got to play them 7 times or 6 times in 2 weeks, they've got certain holes, and that hole is they're not great at defending a wing, a Kawhi, a LeBron James. They could struggle with that. But they're a really good basketball team, and I just kind of laughed at LeBron's reasoning. I would have never in a million years guessed that was the reasoning, but I thought it was funny. His name is Neil deGrasse Tyson. He is an astrophysicist. Yeah, I know. What you're saying is an astrophysicist. He loves football. He's very funny. He's obviously smart. And there's all this alien talk with Tom Brady and Baker Mayfield. Let's get to the bottom of it. What did he see in Austin, Texas? That's coming up next. Any credit card can offer cash back, but only Discover matches all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year. You know, it's like getting one of those birthday cards that's shaped like cash, so you already know what's inside before opening it. But in this case, it's stuffed with the first year cashback match, and you don't even have to send a thank you note. Cashback match only by Discover card. Learn more at discover.com/match. Discover, always something brighter.